Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast, sponsored by Prize Picks. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host, joined by someone who also wants to tilt about big on this past slate. It's Dan Welch. Dan, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, Adam.
Besides
It's
tilting about big.
it's been a pretty rough couple of days DFS wise. So
I
I don't
can.
want to talk about big. I just want to move on to big.
Well, unfortunately, we have big on this slate. Um, so we're gonna have to talk about them, but I completely understand. Like, we're seeing no lineup recap today on the podcast. What we're gonna do is just quickly recap um, the tournament, the things. We're gonna quickly recap the tournament here. Dan,
Okay.
I've gotten to see bits and pieces of some of these matchups, but let's just go group by group here. Gambit and
Okay.
G2. Not surprising, these are probably the two that made it out of the upper bracket onto the playoffs. Not surprising.
No, not at all.
However, the lower bracket of everyone that got eliminated are actually very interesting. Mouse Sports got bounced by Team Liquid 2-1. Complexity got bounced by VP 2-1. And then Big beat Liquid 2-0. So Big versus Virtus Pro, I think, coming out of Group A, they're fighting for the last playoff spot. I think those two teams are pretty interesting. I probably would have had like Mouse and Nip or Mouse and Complexity.
Yeah, Mouse Sports was certainly expected to win. Another tilting matchup.
Yep. Oh, folks, if we could just rename this the I Am
Did.
Cologne 2021 Tilt Podcast, I think Dan and I'd probably be okay with it. It's just been.
I'd be okay if we just didn't do it.
uh,
I could go and try and take a cold shower or something.
oh boy. Group B is pretty interesting. The two land Titan teams, Navi and Astralis, meet up in the upper bracket final.
Yep. Good for them. Good for them.
This is going to be a fun podcast. I was listening to a little bit of the Astralis Heroic match, and I think Machine and Sponge were saying that they saw some stuff from Heroic that were uncharacteristic of them. You know, Dan, this is like you and I originally talked about when we previewed this event, and we previewed LAN. Teams like Gambit, Heroic, and Big,
Yeah.
being the online Titans, or at least the fact Gambit and Heroic are the online Titans, they could struggle getting onto LAN. And maybe we're seeing a little bit of Heroic struggling.
Yeah. We picked Big as the maybe the what's the right word, like the most likely to falter or have a hard time on land. And how wrong was I? Tabson Tabson crushed it on his best of one.
Yeah.
Loses to G2. G2 is a really good team, so you can't be too upset on that one. Unless you played Tabson and Captain in 10 out of 18 lineups. And then today, fade them because you think that that Mouse Sports is actually a good team, and Liquid beat a good team, and therefore Liquid should be Big. So, in conclusion, I hate Big.
Dan, I played 2 Team Liquid today as well, so I'll be joining your Big's anonymous meeting after the podcast is over.
So annoying.
This has been them, or more specifically Tabson, and maybe a little bit of Xantaris, throughout the DFS the last several months with them. They're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. You're on them, you're off them, you're off them, you're on them. And they're so frustrating. They have such potential. And there's a lack of consistency from this team.
So, I want to give them credit because I do agree with you, but I think that they are actually pretty good. They just that G2 is that much better because G2 fucking excuse me again, pants them.
Folks, the tilts are real. There's a reason that we post these podcasts is not intended for children.
Absolutely pantsed them on Vertigo, 16-1, and then Inferno. I don't remember what the final scoreline was, but it wasn't pretty. And they were attempting to anti-strat G2 with no success. I mean, some of their calls were good. I watched it.
Holy moly, G2 crushed them 16-1 on Mirage. Oh my.
Oh, Mirage. I'm sorry. Mirage. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, Dust 2 was ugly for G2 because Amanek had a hard time getting going, and Searson was just owning him. And it did seem like some of their counter strats were really working well against G2.
Yeah.
Probably because there's a lot of info out there. But yeah, then I think Nico just took over and Amanek started popping off.
This is not Nico's first rodeo.
No. Or Hunter for that matter.
Yeah. We're gonna get to G2 actually in the first.
Oh, and Jax is looking very good on LAN.
So Jax with a 1.15 rating versus Big. Jax had a 1.31 rating on G2 right because he was the winning captain, and that was tilting in and of itself.
He didn't score all that well. It's just his price allowed for so many other people.
Oh, he's been dirt cheap, and he's dirt cheap again versus
good.
Gambit.
He looks really good. Like he's definitely better on LAN. Trust me, I can see the difference. Like I think it's for him. It's the ping because he is one of those really aggressive entry guys, and he's so good that if the ping is better, then he's gonna do better. You know. So
yeah.
I think I say look out Gambit tomorrow.
We're getting there. We're so getting there. Let's just talk about the Group B lower bracket real quick. Heroic versus Furia. Heroic. Who do you think wins?
That's a tough one. I gotta go with Heroic. I think that they're just wavering a little bit.
Here's going to be a fun one. Team Vitality versus FaZe. I have to go with Team Vitality. They just...
I don't know, man. I'm not.
That game could go either way.
All they have to do is pick FaZe. If FaZe picks Nuke, like, what are they gonna do? They cannot win Nuke against FaZe. So unless they permaban.
Are they permabanning Ancient now?
I think so, because I think it was Train. Yeah, it was Train. So it's probably it's probably Ancient. So they're not gonna play Ancient. They're gonna play. They're gonna let Nuke go.
Yep. Vitality removed Ancient. Versus Furia. Removed Ancient. Yep. Ancient's just become the new Train permaban.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're that, and I don't know. I mean, it's FaZe. Like, who knows with them either. So it's one of those ones where I'm like, if it ends up on a slate, I might like avoid it. Or wait, is this?
Nope, they are not on the slate.
No, okay, all right, yeah,
which is fantastic.
But if this game was on a slate, I would do my best to avoid it.
Yep.
But maybe one off either ZywOo or
Twists.
Yeah, Twists. Yeah. So good.
Also, as someone that's captained Masuda in the last couple of slates and has not panned out, so it's been a very weird tournament. But there's a lot for us to learn from this. But heading on to this slate, gotta be interesting, my friend. Game 1 on the slate, Gambit versus G2. I think G2 are the best leverage on the entire slate.
I kind of agree with you. I think that G2 will definitely be lower owned than Gambit. I mean, but if people have been watching these matches and they have any kind of a brain, they'll be able to tell that G2 could win. So it's almost like, I think for some people it might be a 50-50, like where even Gambit might come in lower owned than you would think on a when they're on a slate like this.
It's possible. So keep this in mind.
Head spot.
I'm just gonna refresh the odds here on Pinnacle. Gambit coming in as a minus 205 favorite.
Which isn't huge, and especially from what we've seen. I mean, like, so somebody, Vegas or whoever does these odds sees something in G2, you know,
I'll take the
because that's not
G2 at
crazy.
plus 166 all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then we'll get to Navi Astralis in a little bit. Since we're on the Pinnacle logs, Big is a minus 134 favorite against VP, but VP only a plus 111 underdog. And Navi a minus 177 favorite against Astralis. Astralis a plus 145 underdog. I would take and place bets on both G2 and Astralis if I was into sports betting.
Yeah,
Aziza.
but it does correlate to DFS a little bit. So,
Yep.
I mean,
So with that being said, Dan, how are you approaching this game?
um, I mean, Nico, 7,600. That's so cheap.
As
I mean,
underpriced as Zaiwu was in the past slate.
yeah, and Zaiwu worked out even at his price, which he didn't go crazy, but
He was in the winning lineup.
yeah, he must have been because
It was Simple and Zaiwu.
Can we take a look at that? Because I haven't had a chance to review it. I'd also like to know who won.
So it's still live.
Yeah, they haven't closed out the showdown either, which is kind of annoying.
So this was my lineup.
You have 8,000 frowns.
So this was my lineup. I can attest to your
Why don't you look
big
for mine at?
frustration and Device and his 39 points.
Search for mine. Show everybody how crappy mine was.
Yeah. So here was the winning lineup.
No. Okay. Tabs and Cap. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Tabs.
your boy.
Dupree. All right, good for Dupree. Yeah.
Dupes. Well, he was
Kinder
he was plus
Sir.
20. A 2-2-1-1 with a one-off captain.
It wins. Remember when what's a Nickelback guy when he went crazy?
Mhm.
This was
Now
that was the
again,
winning lineup.
4-game slate. I understand why.
Right. Yeah. You have to pick the highest scores from each game.
And
basically.
Zaibu was when I looked at this earlier, it looks like the scores must have finalized now. Because when I looked earlier, there was a simple Zaibu lineup that was in first place.
Huh. Yeah. Simple. I mean, that's not a great score for Simple. I bet there was a more optimal lineup that wasn't played. Because
Maybe.
Simple did not score though.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this was a. I mean, Zaibu was so underpriced yesterday.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Outscored. I think for me, if in general, I would have done okay if Elige hadn't actually ended up outscoring Simple, but Simple went a little bit crazy on the last map there.
Yeah. At least it wasn't his plus 40 day when neither you or I had Simple in our lineups.
I don't want to talk about that day.
Yep. So, folks, Dan and I are trying not to tilt, and we have not been off on the podcast because of the tilts. I've just had some stuff going on, so we haven't had the last couple of nights. So we're here.
Adam, I could not bring myself to get on a podcast after that bullshit that happened.
Dan,
I'm not gonna say it happened to me, but it was just, it felt like, like everything was aligning. The universe was aligned. I had a perfect lineup. And
so I can attest to this. If we go back and look at Dan's lineup in like 2 days ago, I was on my phone checking to see who was in first place. Just like I was curious who the high scorers were. This was during the last 2 matches. Dan's lineup was in second place, and he had striking distance of taking solo first. And then Simple decided to go do simple things and go ham on map 3, and I completely understand.
Adam, I had the nuts. I had it because the big scores hadn't updated yet, so I was behind. Like, I was missing like 50 points.
Oh right,
so
right.
I was already way ahead in first, and anybody with Simple was like 40 points behind me.
And then Simple decided to go absolutely nuts to make up the difference.
50 points. He got 50 points on the last map.
It was
in
so
the cap.
tilting. So tilting. So there's a reason Dan is a little bit tilted at big, and he's a little bit tilted at simple.
That wasn't Big's fault. That was
That was Simple's fault.
Renegade for winning the first map. If they hadn't,
Excuse me. Um, anyway,
all right,
this is the
move
CS:GO
on.
Clutch podcast, not the Tilt podcast. Otherwise, we could be tilting about everything else that's happening here. I can be tilting about how Heroic just screwed the pooch today against Astralis. Um, is what it is. Anyway, Gambit versus G2. I personally am going all in on
I'm
Gambit.
calm.
Hunter's
I'm
my
calm.
favorite
I
play on
took
the
some deep
slate.
breath.
Take a deep breath, Dan. You got this. Hunter's my core play on the slate.
I just. Yeah, I have to agree with you because I really do like G2 tomorrow.
I
for
love
various
some
reasons.
Hunter captain. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be very interesting. Look, if the elite Hunter shows up, right? If Gambit go to Vertigo, oh baby, give me a Hunter one off. Even if you want to stack Gambit, give me a Hunter one off. We know how much
They're
Hunter
good on.
loves that map.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll be fun.
if we get Mirage and Vertigo, I want as much Nico and Hunter as I can get. Good maps for that.
Yeah.
But Nico, not well. He's better as a rifler on Vertigo now that he was hopping.
His kill assist is like through the roof though. Like he's getting crazy amounts of assists. I
you know,
swear to God, he's just like softening people up so that Hunter can come in and finish them off. Like that's my harebrained theory because they're cousins. And Nico's just that good where he can be, yeah, I'll let this one go to my cousin.
I really like the 2-man stack of Nico and Hunter on the slate. I really do. And I think it's going to be much more different to Captain Hunter than it is captaining Nico. You'll probably get Captain Hunter at lower ownership.
You know who else is interesting is Amanek. I know that we don't love to play opposing oppers, and I don't. I actually, if I do end up playing 20 lineups, then I would probably have very little Shiro.
He's
Which
the
makes
most
Amanek.
expensive player on the slate today. He's 9,400. Simple below him at 92. Like, you have to make... And I was saying this a couple of podcasts ago. When we just had all those elite duos up at the top, you have to take your stands on your players. And there's nothing wrong with saying I'm going underweight to Shiro. Nothing wrong with that, because if Hobbit pops off, or Axel pops off, or if anyone else pops off, like, it's viable. Shiro, when he was so expensive that one day, he didn't pay off. He didn't frag that well. Naphany had a great day. It was Hobbit or Axel. One of them had a good day. So I completely get where you're coming from.
No, he was a liability. Well, not actually. He did well.
He wasn't
pulled
optimal.
everything down. Yeah, he wasn't optimal. There you go. That's correct.
All right. So.
Oh, one more thing. So I was talking to somebody in Discord today, and I had an interesting approach. And I don't know if this could work for other sports, but I thought about it some more afterwards, and I don't think that it does. But who would you play if the pricing didn't exist? Like, who would you play? And,
I'd be shoving in every elite guy that I could.
oh, would you though? I mean, why? Like, because of correlation is so important in CS:GO. Like, you wouldn't just get all the best players because you know that
Everyone else would have them.
No, well, there's that. If their team loses, there's a really good chance that they're not optimal.
Yeah, but it's
Or
not
they're
like
better played.
how many slates have you and I played in where we just need that extra $100 to get the lineup that we really want that just looks like the freaking nuts?
But how often do we win? And does that $100? We don't know if we never do a look back to see if our what we think would be optimal.
I think I was $100 off config the other day and I couldn't get to him. And I would have much rather had config than who I went with.
But yeah, yes, in like 2-game slates, absolutely pricing matters. But some of these bigger ones, it's like sometimes it's like you just want to
Well, let's talk about the pricing that matters.
Ish.
Nexus 5200, Jax is 4800. You made mention of it. Jax looks really good. If you
Yeah.
want to play Jax on this slate at $4,800, go for it. If he gets positive, I mean, what does he need to score? 48, 50 points?
That's it. Yeah.
If that gets you a Shiro and a Simple, or that gets you a Simple and Electronic plus a Hobbit, or whoever. If that gets you access to more higher priced guys, and you know, you were just, again, to your point you were just talking about, if Jax goes off, you need Jax in that lineup with the studs, you're already different. Because how many people are going to want to play $4,800 Jax against the world number one? Or a $5,200 Nexa against the world number one?
I would. Yeah. Nexa is intriguing as well.
Nexa's very intriguing at $5,200.
But I would leave it at that.
I feel like this game's either going to be a banger or we're going to see Nafany and Nexa start anti-stratting out each other, and it's going to be a slower pace game.
So Nexa has clutch. He's like a clutch artist because he's actually very, very good. But I think he's more of a lurker IGL than not one of those space taker IGLs. So if he has to
Right,
come,
he's different than Nafany. Nafany is a space-taking IGL and an info-gathering IGL. And we know Nafany can frag, but he'd much rather get the info and much rather take control on a map. For example, if Nafany pushes mid on Mirage, he's already got not so much control, but he has all the info. He's going to know who's in Con, who's in Snipers, and who's on Cat.
Yeah, which makes him a much more appealing IGL to play for DFS than Nexa. But if G2 are in if they're down and out, like I like Nexa. Like I like Nexa as a run back if I think that they're going to lose, but I don't think that he's going to have to step up to clutch.
I never like saying this, but I think all 10 of these players are 100% viable on the slate.
Yeah, even Inter? I don't know. Inter.
I do think Inter is for large field GPPs, 20 maxes and above. You get 5 to 20% of him. I think he's very interesting, especially if we see Vertigo, or if we see like an Inferno, where Inter, as we know, likes to hang out on A on Inferno, and usually does pretty well. Like if Inters can do anything decent,
I think he's the pit player, isn't he?
Yeah, he likes either hanging site or pit usually. But he's a really good support role, and like he does really well in Inferno.
Yeah. No, I think he doesn't correlate well with the other guys. So, like if he does do well, like someone else is,
one of the big three is probably not doing well.
There you go. Thank you.
So I think that's a very, very good observation. So we spent a little. You're welcome. We spent a little bit of time on this game. Anything else you want to talk about? But I think this is I'm not going to say a key to a slate, but it's a game you're going to have to take stands on.
Yeah. It's a little bit avoidable, too. I mean, just because of the potential back and forth, really close, low scoring.
And again, it's possible. Like I said, if we get Nafany and Nex are calling slow strats, or they're trying to, anti-strat each other out, then it may end up being a very slow and a very lower scoring game in terms of like DFS purposes. Not like lower scoring in terms of frags, just we need ceiling for our large field GPPs. And even single entries to a point, we need ceiling. If this game slows to a crawl, are we going to get that ceiling? But
yeah, the more we talk about it, the more it's like, okay, maybe I only want one or two at most, from either side.
Yep.
Here,
With that being said,
just max 2 from either G2 or Gambit, or one from each.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, before I get into helping Dan and I not tilt, the CS:GO Clutch podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Head over to PrizePicks.com and sign up using the promo code Clutch. Again, promo code Clutch. New depositors will get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It is an amazing promotion. Take advantage of it while you can. And while we're at it, hit that like button down below, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. That way, you all know every single time one of these podcasts drop. You and I were going to do a podcast the other day in Draftkings because VP and Complexity went so long. DraftKings didn't come out the pricing until a little bit later on in the night, and you and I couldn't get a podcast out. So our apologies to that. So Dan and I tried to record these between like 7 and 9 Eastern time. Is typically we like to record them. Like sometimes neither one of us can do later on in the night, so we try reserving that time space. Little behind the curtain.
Adam, we should be honest with everybody that I'm kind of old and I need to go to bed early. But that's too much personal information.
You are 22.
Yeah, I wish. Actually, no, I don't want
to. Anyway, so hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way that you all know every single time one of these podcasts drop. Follow Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. Follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter at CSGO Clutch Pod. All right, Dan, I've delayed this long enough. Tried getting around it. It's VP versus Big. I'm sorry.
I think you gotta go. You gotta hedge this match because.
Well, talk to us about that because I kind of want to just play Big, but now that I'm looking at it and I'm looking at pricing and I'm seeing Yakindar at $7,200 and I see Buster at 58. Oh, I kind of want to just go. Just play VP based on the pricing and possible that they can upset. This is for a spot in the playoffs. And we should mention that Gambit, G2, and Navi Astralis already locked into the playoffs. VP versus Big is for one of those final 2 spots.
I actually like Big. I like Big for the map pool. Because they ban Inferno. We know Verse Pro loves Inferno.
VP also really like Overpass.
Yeah, they're probably. I would think that they would pick Overpass. Yeah. But Big's gonna get Dust too, which I just can't see Virtus Pro eating them on. They're not very good on Dust too.
Well, I mean, we did see VP with that 15-3 comeback tie and win against Ents on Dust 2, but Ents just had no answer for VP. They couldn't get around. They couldn't get the final round in.
I didn't. Yeah, was that a while ago?
Yeah, that was a while ago. But like,
that's a good, you got a good memory then.
But like when I think like Dust 2 and VP, like that's immediately what comes to mind is just like, VP just hanging out by long doors and crushing everyone events there, and it's like they didn't have answers for him. It's like 15-3. You would have thought VP would have lost, and they came back tied and then won in overtime. It was really impressive to watch, and for Ents it must have been I'm not going to go there very much. Anyway, I like the idea on the Big side. Tabson is $6,800 on this slate, and we were talking about this pre-pod. Xantaris is $8,800. $1,000 below him is Searson at $7,800. $1,000 below him is Tabson at $6,800. Keto $6,200, and your boy Tizian at $5,400.
Love Tizian. I actually very rarely play Tizian, but when I do play him, it usually works out. It's very weird.
That's just sound of the Dos Equis man. I don't always play Tizian, but when I do,
when I do, I crush. Oh shit.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Just the way you set that up there. I just got the Dos Equis meme in my head as you were saying that. I'm sorry. It was fantastic.
That would be a great commercial for like.
There you go. Tell Big that they can start promoting it that way. Dos Equis, the new sponsor of Big Clan.
Oh man.
Oh boy. There you go. Free advertising for Big. Anyway, this show's gone off the rails already, and we're almost a half hour in. All right. Getting back to it. Keto at $6,200, I think, is one of the most interesting pieces on this entire slate. It might be a way that he could end up being a difference maker on this slate.
Keto's good, man. I've been saying it for a long time.
Yes, you have.
He plays a lot of Counter-Strike.
He likes to
I
stream a lot too.
yeah, yeah, he's good.
I mean, I think
And
Keto 6200 is definitely viable. I think he's a way to make your big man 3 stacks very different.
yeah, I can't see very many people doing three big, but today it was great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
was that what? No, it was one off Tabson that won. So
Yep.
never mind. But they all had like, I think they were all like above, except for Disney.
Big
Like they were
played
either
twice today,
six.
so one was on the slate, one wasn't. Because I think Big versus G2 was one. Tapson didn't do well. Keto was a .92, and then when they played Liquid, that was the difference maker.
No, yeah, the one when they played Liquid today, they scored like plus 70. It was Tabson, Searson, Xantaras were all over 70 points, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Keto was right up there. I don't remember exactly, but that was the three of them were not in the winning lineup. So
Yeah. I mean, like, I have interest in everyone realistically. I mean, it. There are only 30 players. There's only so much you can do. This isn't like our normal 4 games, 4 game set like we've been having. Go, okay, we can cross off this team. We really don't need to go there. We know they're heavy. This team's a heavy favorite. I think with this, all 30 players are in play. For me, on the VP side of thing, it's Yakindar just based on price is my favorite at 7,200. James second 84. I actually don't mind going back to Buster at $5,800. He's cheap.
yeah,
Kicker at
that
probably
is very
fourth at 6,600. I like Sanji as a player. 5,000 probably not someone I would personally play on like a 1, 2, or 3 lineup slate. Maybe you get like 5 to 50% exposure on a 20 max. He's their support player. He's not exactly the highest fragging support.
he can
Um,
go out.
he can for sure.
Yeah,
But if Big's banning Inferno,
yeah, that's not good.
no.
Because he normally just I think he normally just follows James around and gets his op if James goes down.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Um,
like that's his role.
so I mean, like that's for me on the Virtus Pro side. Again, like I don't typically play Tizian. I think he's viable on the slate, but for me, I'm. It's hard to go away from Searson, man.
This could be a good Tizian day,
It could be.
but I like Searson.
I
Yeah,
also,
Searson.
if I'm playing anyone, like I think Searson 1, Keto 2, and then you can mix and match Xantaras and Tabson at 3. I want to say Tabson 3, Xantaras 4, Tizian 5. I just think Keto's going to be a difference maker on this slate. I really do.
Gut feeling. I like it.
So yeah,
For
that's
everybody
that.
that doesn't know, that means don't play keto tomorrow.
Wow.
Because whenever we have gut feelings, it just never works out.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. I'll
No, I
remember
said
that.
we. I said we,
I'll
not you.
I'll remember that when fantasy football comes around and you come asking me for advice. It's
On
okay.
Showdown.
I hear Greg Zerline's available in the first round, Dan.
He's a kicker.
Exactly. I hear he's available in the first round, Dan. That's who you should draft. I'm totally kidding.
I'd be that guy.
I will say, if you want like a quick piece of fantasy football, one of my favorite quarterbacks this year, and if you're not like Dak is my absolute favorite to target if you can get there and you have a decent enough lineup that you think you can build around. If you can get Dak in like the 5th or 6th round, I don't mind reaching for him because I think he's gonna be that good this year. But Joe Burrow is someone I absolutely am loving to target late. But I think
Huh?
Ryan Tannehill is probably one of the safest and somewhat highest upside quarterbacks this year. And I think he probably finishes the year as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Especially now with the
Really?
addition of Julio Jones. You have Derrick Henry, that offensive line, that defense that's getting better. A.J. Brown is going to be a beast. So, yeah. I mean, Joe Burrow is someone who he's probably not going to start off strong. I've heard a couple of podcasts probably talk about this. He's still recovering from that knee injury from last year. So don't expect him to probably start off like super strong. But he's someone with high upside. We saw the Bengals as one of the highest passing volume offenses in the league last year before Joe Burrow went down.
Interesting.
So
I actually won some money on Joe Burrow when when I was on a showdown slate.
There you go. I didn't believe in Joe Burrow last year. I was all about Tua, and I mean I started getting more on Burrow closer as the season started. I didn't really draft him anywhere, but I think anyway we can do fantasy football at a totally another time. And I will.
Come on, yeah, let's come on.
If anyone out there is interested in fantasy football, I will have fantasy football content somewhere this year. Anyway, let's get on here to the last game on this slate. It's the two Titan teams of recent years land gameplay. It's Navi versus Astralis. All 10 players are in play. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Okay, bye. Two Titans, Dan. Two Titans. This is an Astralis without device. That went 2-0 against. I think it was 2-0 against FaZe. Yep, and 2-0 against Heroic. While Navi have been 2-1 against Renegades, 2-1 against Team Vitality. Now we get these two Titans going at it with each other. How are you approaching this game? Or is this a game where you're looking to one-off?
No. I would probably play simple and electronic.
How can you not? These two are back to their elite form. At least from the stat-wise.
I can't play Astralis. I just can't do it. I mean, I know they had a great match today, but Navi's is looking too good. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe if I did 20 lineups, maybe 5 of them would have Astralis, just Bobski at 5,600, or even Dupree at 7,000 is pretty good.
I mean, look, did Astralis do well today, or did Heroic have issues today?
Good point.
Which way is that going to fall? Because we know FaZe is in flux. Heroic 2-1 against Team Spirit, lost to Astralis 2-0. Again, like I said, I was hearing Sponge and Machine say they were making some uncharacteristic Heroic mistakes. For example, one of the plays I watched, Dupree's hanging out, T-side pistol round in long bathrooms, and two Heroic players are just, they have their knives out and they're jumping into long bathrooms, and Dupree just unloads a mag and frags both of them.
Seriously? I missed that.
Yep. And that's when I think I heard them make the comment.
Interesting.
Look, were you expecting anyone to be in long bathrooms? No. Should one of you have probably had your pistol out in case someone was there? Probably.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I think Astralis. Okay, look, I came into this podcast saying Astralis has probably had a good chance of beating Navi. You have convinced me. I think Navi they're not a lock to beat Astralis. I now want to play more Navi than I do Astralis.
Yeah, I would highly encourage it. I mean, look at the pieces. Glaive, okay. All right. Zipex, I mean, Perfecto and Bit are looking really good. But
I think they found something in Bit.
What?
They found something in Bit.
Yeah. He's got a really high ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Super high ceiling.
So, I mean, Simple and Electronic, I think, are going to be a popular 1-2 on the slate. And how can you not? How can you not? Are we just going to go back to the good old days where we were captaining Electronic and playing Simple, back, 2020 of last year? Just to get different from the 40+% of people that were playing Simple.
Right.
In the captain spot. And, that worked out for us on so many slates. I think Bit is someone to get really different with.
Dude, that's a...
Bit's 7K.
That worked great. You could do Bit Captain with Simple. Sure.
I actually don't mind Captain Bit and you flex Simple and Electronic if you really feel that strong about Navi.
Yeah, I would do it. for
All
sure.
right, so let's talk about the Astralis side,
Okay.
and then we'll wrap this podcast up. I still think Astralis a fantastic large field GPP leverage.
Yes, agree.
In a single entry or one lineup, I'm not playing Astralis. In a three
No,
max, it's totally viable if you want to go Astralis in one of your three lineups. Totally
agree.
viable. In a 20
Agree.
max, you absolutely get Astralis exposure. You get exposure
Hmm.
to all five players.
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
if all five are like 15, 20%. You want exposure to Astralis in anything greater than a 3 max of all
Hmm.
five of them. Perfecto and Boomage on the Navi side of things, 20 max or above, a 20 max and above, sure. And a 3 and a 1 or a 3 max, a one
Hmm.
entry, one lineup, or one entry into 3 max. It's simple, electronic, and bit for me. Bit might be the biggest leverage on Navi in terms of ownership of those three. You could go Captain Bit with simple and electronic and piece the rest in from there if you wanted to. You could go simple and Bit. You could go electronic and Bit. I mean, we saw electronic and Bit be more viable on one of these past slates than we did with simple. It was that Mirage map that got both of them to be near optimal, if not
Yeah.
optimal.
Oh. that
So
was that
that's
was the day, Adam. You just brought it back.
I'm sorry. Um, I gotta try not putting any more
I just
salt
had a
on Dan's
flashback
wounds.
because
So with that being said, we're just gonna move right along here to the end of the podcast. Otherwise, Dan's gonna refuse to ever come back on this podcast again. Um, and shout out to everyone watching UFC
well, I hope it
264
makes some
tonight.
good content.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah, you gotta go. You have to go hang out with your boyfriends.
ha ha ha. I'm seeing friends of mine that I haven't seen, I think, in person in like a year and a half because of the pandemic, and this is something where we try making a couple of hangouts throughout the year, like Buffalo Wild Wings, just like friends hanging out watching some UFC, and it's gonna be so nice to see some of them
Sounds
in
great to
person
me. I
again.
wish I was closer.
Hey,
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome.
if you were close, I'd be inviting you for sure. If it isn't past your
Yeah, yeah.
bedtime. Um,
Actually,
it's getting
yeah,
close
I
to
think
past your bedtime, so we gotta wrap this podcast up.
let's go.
I gotta go tuck Dan in. No, I'm kidding. Um, totally kidding. Dan, core value GPP and a favorite team stack if you have one. Who you got in the slate?
Core Nico value. Thank you. Value. I'm gonna go
You're welcome.
Jax.
Jacks are I
And
mean, look, Jacks at 4,800, the cheapest on the entire slate. And he's a really good GPP play, for sure. And speaking of GPP plays, who do you got in that category?
yeah, good segue. Let's go to
Right?
Amanek. So that
I
wait,
like.
I just picked all. Hold
You
on.
literally just picked the G2 three-man stack. Are you gonna tell us that G2 isn't your favorite stack of the day? Um.
James. No, James not good either. How about Hobbit?
All right. I'm gonna
But
assume
it's
your
still like
favorite. I'm gonna assume your favorite team stack is G2.
yeah, definitely.
Was gonna say you gave us three players. I'm like, please tell us that your favorite team stack is the three you just picked. All right. I'm gonna give you another G2 player in case Dan and I haven't made this blissfully obvious. Who are on for GPPs on this slate? I said it earlier. Hunter is my favorite. Is my core play on the slate. I think he makes for a fantastic captain play on this slate. And yeah, I'm gonna go with for value. Buster 5,800, Nexa 5,200, Glaives 5,200. Like these guys are perfectly in play. Even if you want to get funky and play Boomage or Bubsky at their pricing as well. Bubsky 56, Boomage 54. All viable. GPP,
Mm-hmm.
Keto.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I'm
I
just
like
gonna
that.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. Keto $6,200. And
Yeah,
electronic at
that's
8,000. Favorite team stack. I also like G2. Yeah, that tells. If you want someone that's not G2, I'll go Navi. All right, Dan, it's
And
time.
now G2 is going to do horrible tomorrow because we both have jinxed them. Yeah, prize picks.
Haha. Let's do this. Here we go. Prize picks
All
time.
right.
As soon as it wants to reload.
I haven't seen Ariel play in a while, but I like that. That line, that's not a bad line.
Yep, I'm just waiting for prize picks to reload. Let's try refreshing the page again. This is not on our control, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Oh, look, there we go. We got some MMA on.
10 minutes? Oh.
Yeah, so we got McGregor versus Poirier, 10-minute fight time for single stat, which I think is very interesting. All right, let's do this. It's CS:GO time. We don't.
Yep.
Here we go.
Go time, baby.
Torzy's on the slate.
I will go Ariel.
Go ahead.
Oop.
Ariel, over?
Yep.
I like it. Who else?
Can you? I think I'm losing you a little bit. I think we're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, not again.
Over Ariel and ZTR over.
Okay. So we get ZTR over.
Tessus over.
Good call. I like that.
Against Furia.
I like that. I really like that call. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, good. You can hear me. Good. I'm glad. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Toysy's on the slate, 43.5. I brought this up last time we was playing the Linby Vikings. Versus the Spirit Academy, he was 66 frags in the first two maps. Versus Entropic, he was 44. Versus Skade, he was 47. And versus the Linby Vikings, he went 53. Smash the over on Torzy. Absolutely smash the over. Dan, would you agree? Nope, I might have lost Dan. Give me 1 second here, folks. Try getting Dan back. And I re-downloaded Discord and everything. So I gotta figure out what's going on. Because this has happened when I was playing Counter-Strike 2, and it's not okay, folks. When you're sitting there and you're playing Counter-Strike, and you can't talk to your team anymore, and you can't hear them in Discord, and you gotta talk in game, it's very frustrating. So, yeah, with that being said, let's continue this podcast and see if I can get Discord back up and running here. I agree with Dan on Tessus at 39.5. I agree with Dan on that at all. Dan, we have you back. Dan, are you back? Maybe.
Back, can you hear me?
He's back. I was just telling the folks that we're going to smash the over on Torzy.
Yes, sir.
And I agree with you on Tessus. 39.5 stood out to me as something I'm going to go over on. I think it's a big Tessus day. And if he was on the DFS slate, I'd be playing lots of Tessus.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Against Furia, for sure.
What do you think about this Brokey line at 38.5? I think that's kind of tempting to go under.
Yeah, that seems like a trap.
It is a kind of a trappy line. I could see Brokey getting 37.
Right? Isn't that the best when that happens too?
It's so frustrating.
You have the over.
Yep.
Or 38.5. Yeah, my prize picks is frozen too for some reason.
Yeah. So the app must be having issues. But anyway.
Yep.
Zyru, 43.5. I think I have to go under.
Yeah, he hasn't been that great. Like, we're not getting that vintage Zywu that we all know and love, so I think that under is a good call.
Yep. And I think a lot of the rest of these lines are very well done. Like the Elan line versus Ensa 41.5, I think is really well done. I don't mind taking the over on him. And I'm a big fan of Hunter on this site. Like I said, I'm going over 38.5 for Hunter.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I also can see under on 40.5 for Ha, but hasn't been the biggest fragger lately either. Axiles will really pick up the mantle of the number 2 again.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for Dan and I here on the slate. Good luck in your contest and good luck on prize picks. Dan, any final thoughts on this slate before we head out of here?
Good luck, have fun.
Good luck, have fun. We'll see you guys for the next main slate. Latest, peoples.